Welcome to Prop Talks, the prop seminar for the 2021 season at the Utah Shakespeare Festival. Today we're going to talk a little about Pericles. The first thing we did was we built a head rack and did some heads for the opening scene. So these pieces from the design drawings we CNC'd out and then glued together. And then we coated the whole thing with latex caulk. So it has two side rails and this big arch. And you'll see here in just a second, we used the caulk because we could give it sort of a hammered metal texture, give it a lot of texture that the paint could stick to when we painted it, so it would give it a lot of depth and interest. And then we had a bunch of heads. So many of these heads you may recognize from previous beheadings that we've done. We've also bought some masks and some skulls, and we took all of them and made some of them look very decayed and rotten. The skulls are, just having skin peeling on them. And we have some fresher, not quite dead as long, kings and princes of different types. And then all of those heads, and we used 14 in total, got stuck on the rack in different configurations. All the people who didn't make the cut, I guess. We also built some shields for the show. There's a big duel, and so each of the shields is specific to the knight that carries it. And these are used in combat. They're wood with leather wrapping, and they get beat up pretty good over the course of the show. There's a scene in a brothel, and so Apollo, our designer, designed this really fancy curtain with these big swaggy ties. We did a lot of measuring of the drawing, and then laid out all these individual red tassels and marked them to get all the angles and shaping that he wanted, and then combined it with a bunch of fabric on a metal frame to create this slightly gaudy but appropriate curtain for the brothel. We also built some chairs, or thrones. So to keep these light, we left the centers of the legs hollow, made them sort of hollow structures. So it took a lot of extra work, all hand cut on the bandsaw and the table saw, lots of trim detail. And then for the feet, Apollo had found this research image, and so we cut these wood Christmas trees down and hand grooved with a Dremel all of these little cuts into them, and so that when they were attached to the chairs, we got this very tall, sort of Assyrian looking chair that looks a little bit royal. We also took this piece, which was originally from Antony and Cleopatra about 10 years ago or so, and we modified it. We made new back legs. These get much more carving on them a little bit later, but we made much taller back legs and then shortened the front legs so that the slope of the bed would be more angled so we could see the performers on it a little bit better. We added some additional support across that once that structure was all done. And then we painted and stained it to look like wood. It was originally gold leafed, but we painted it back into sort of the wood structure so it would match everything else. We also built some stools from scratch. Apollo again found a research image where the legs were very splayed out. So to make that work, we built a steel frame and then covered it with foam and wood to look like it was an all wood structure, but it would support the weight of the actors when they're in use. I also built a coffin for this show. That was a big build show for us. So this is the basic coffin. It's plywood, 1x, and some molding handles that are welded together with some finials on the ends that we then textured with some sawdust and paint. Make them look a little more old. We upholstered the inside because an actress actually does end up inside this coffin. And it's supposed to look like it's sealed and tossed in the ocean. So we used paint and texture to create that sort of look as well. We also did some other things for this show. So this is Saramon's table, which is actually one of our stock fiddler tables. We added some shelves too and then dressed that with a bunch of set dressing. And then some banners. This is a small version of the banner, but we actually built two 22-foot tall banners with tons of ribbon and then silk screened graphics onto it. There's a ton of stuff in this show. This isn't even all of it, so you should definitely try to get to see Pericles at the Shakespeare Festival this summer and check out all the cool stuff in it.